So let's start with your career journey, right? I've seen your LinkedIn profile. You are a trained lawyer. You pursued law in university, but you actually worked in insurance and finance, right? You never practiced law, right? If I'm not.
No, I never qualified as a lawyer. I studied law at university, and whilst there were certain aspects of it I quite enjoyed, I decided I didn't actually want to become a lawyer. So I found myself looking around for new roles after I left university, and I fell into insurance. Now, it's so many people, and maybe it's my generation, I'm not quite sure, never really expected to be in insurance, but they found themselves in there, like me. And I found that I absolutely loved being in an insurance company, working for an insurer. So I joined as a fresh-faced graduate many, many years ago, did a lot of work, spent time, 2 years working my way around Allianz Insurance in the UK, finding out more about the industry. And I found myself being drawn to risk and compliance within the organization. And what I love about it is you have that absolute overview of the whole of the organization and the whole of the insurance industry. And to me, that is the most fascinating part of it. It's just so much fun.
Okay, nice. So you worked only in UK, right? But I've seen you working with some Japanese insurance firm in the past as well, but also
Yes.
European ones, right?
Yeah, so this is the joys of working in the insurance industry, particularly in the UK, because insurance, as we know, is global.
Yeah.
And it's the insurance industry in London, with the London market and the Lloyd's market, is truly global in itself. And that's what's so fantastic about it. I love it. So while I was there, I worked in the Lloyd's market, which is a very, very great institution and great fun to work in. Then I worked for a Japanese firm called Mitsui Sumitomo,
Yeah.
which operated around the European Union and the Gulf region as part of it. And as part of that, I got to travel to Japan a few times. And Japan, I don't know if you've ever been there, but it is an absolutely amazing country. I've never seen anything like it. It was great fun. And then from there, I went to Samsung Fire and Marine, which is part of the huge
Is it
Samsung
part of the
trading.
Samsung group, the
Oh, it
Korean
is part of the
electronics?
Samsung group.
Okay,
It's
I
a
see.
very Everyone, whenever they look at Samsung, they always think, "Oh, Samsung, yes,
They have an
it's electronic."
insurance business.
Yeah, but it's what is it? It controls over a third of the insurance market in South Korea,
Oh, I see.
um, and that is quite amazing when you get involved in it. So I went in as the risk and compliance director for the new startup in the London market. So that was a very exciting time, setting up an insurance company from scratch,
Right.
getting involved in Solvency II, rolling out and implementing, well, designing first of all, and then
Yeah.
rolling out and implementing the enterprise risk management system, working on the own risk and solvency assessment, and also working with the actuarial team on the capital calculations. So I became more and more fascinated by capital modeling. I didn't particularly always understand it, but I did find it quite fascinating as part of it. So that was great. So I worked there. Went to South Korea a few times as well. And that's an amazing place, particularly when you go and visit the DMZ, the demilitarized zone.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. So that was great fun. And from there, I've worked for Italian and French companies as well. So it's allowed me to travel around Europe, travel around the Gulf. I've been to I was involved in the setup of an operation in Qatar, in Doha, a few years back as well. I've
Wow.
operated, never, no, not, I've been there, but dealt with the American market as well. So, and this is what's so great about it. It's just so wide ranging what I do.
That's nice, actually. And it's been over 30 years, right? So you started in mid 90s, if I'm not
Yeah,
wrong.
I started straight from when I graduated from university, which was 1996. Hell's bells,
Wow.
that's a long time ago. But it's absolutely brilliant.
How has
And
the industry changed since then? I
It's
know, but
changed.
the massively probably, right? Because I work in the banking side of things. Okay, I've seen the banking world has changed. Well, I don't have as many years of experience as you have, but I've seen it is going through a transition, right? It is becoming more tech and data driven nowadays.
Oh, we
Um,
do.
what's been
It
your
is.
experience in the insurance world?
For me, it's that move from that digitization that really initiated it, going from, and I was there as part of it, that transition, but it was going from that very manual approach to things to that purely digital approach to having data you can actually effectively use within your organization. And that is the
Right,
one thing I suppose I've seen over the time is how the industry has looked at data and
right,
how it has used that data, how it has stored and wrangled that data, and how it has used it to its advantage. And what I'm seeing at the moment, and the one thing that completely and utterly fascinates me, I'm a bit like a moth to a flame on it, is artificial intelligence. I just
yeah,
find it so fascinating to see what's going on. I think maybe I watched Star Wars or 2001: A Space Odyssey a few too many times when I was a kid and a
yeah,
teenager. But to
yeah,
me, what it can actually do is so important. But I come to it from a governance and oversight perspective. The risk that it actually generates to an organization from the way in which this is used within the business and how it impacts on that wider issue that you've got from your customers to your other third parties who are involved in this. And that to me is absolutely essential as part of this, that you have that strong governance. But going back on that change, it has been so intense. It is so exciting. And I'm looking at where insurance was when I joined the industry and probably the first 10 years. Insurance was very slow. Not very much happened there. It was
more
not
of a
much
boring
change.
business.
Yeah, it was. It was. But now everyone has really realized how vitally important it is to move, to develop, to change, to use the technology, because that is the only way you're going to survive. What we're
Right,
seeing at the moment is, I suppose, everyone is still slightly terrified that someone's going to do an Uber to the
yeah,
insurance industry, and what that will look like. So, what is it? There's one that's been great recently. I saw there's a firm, American firm, who are coming into the UK and elsewhere now called Lemonade, and they were very proudly saying, "We settled a claim in 2 seconds."
is that
So
more of
from
an
some,
insurance take form,
well,
or is it traditional insurance form?
it's a traditional. It was a household insurance.
Okay,
So someone had got a claim, and within 2 seconds of submitting the claim, the money was paid into their account,
wow,
which was
no
mind blowing.
paperwork.
No, well, what little paperwork was necessary was done in 2 seconds.
Yeah,
And for me, this is absolutely fascinating because
right,
I love this idea of using the technology to better the service that we're giving to our customers in the insurance industry. Now, you and I, when we deal with an insurance company or any company, we want to be in a position to have things done in the most appropriate way.
yeah,
Now, to me, it's not about the speed of the journey, it's about the quality of the journey that you've been on with the business, the company that
yeah,
you're actually dealing with. And certain small things you want done in 2 seconds
right,
because they're minor, it's not going to take very long. But actually, there are going to be other things when you're in a bit of a mess, particularly in
yeah,
insurance, when
yeah,
you're going to want to have time to talk to somebody, to deal with things. You don't want to rush it because you may be vulnerable, you may be in a bad situation.
yeah,
Let's do it properly as part of this. And this is what I'm so keen to make sure that happens is as we move forwards with our technology, digitization, the AI that will overlay it, and how that will evolve within the organization on that evolutionary journey that we will
yeah,
be taking on, that we don't forget the customer as part of this
yeah.
because they're going to want certain things. And if they don't get it, they're not going to be happy. So, yes,
It's a mean.
it's
I mean, AI and digitization is a means to an end, right?
it
Uh,
is.
so not with the end itself, right?
It absolutely is, and that to me is the most important part of it. Um, it's I saw it. I'm trying to remember the exact words now. It was one of the big four consultancy firms. They were looking at this idea of what you should have, and it should be a human-centric AI approach that you're doing within your organization.
Yeah.
So it's the way I describe it is that you or I stand on the shoulders of AI to be
Yeah.
better in terms of what we do,
Yeah.
rather than saying, right, AI's in, you're off, out, bye bye, all of those sort of things. It's going on there. So, but I've gone off on a bit of a tangent here. But going back to what you said, what have I seen changing over my time in the industry? I've seen so much change, and I've seen it change in the most exciting of ways as the technology has been adopted, as these new working practices have come in, and what I saw as a sort of a gentle
Yeah.
increase within the industry, a gentle level of change, has now suddenly shot up as these new technologies become available and we realize what they're actually capable of. And to me, that is fantastic. And this is why I would go back and I said, well, how did I join the insurance industry? It was very sleepy. Not much happened. It was very quiet. That
But
has
has it
changed.
become more interesting over time?
Oh, so much more interesting
So
because
much
of
more.
that technology that's actually coming into the organization and the industry as a whole. Because
Right.
you've got that, in a sense, it's almost like an arms race taking place. Everyone realizes that this technology can make your service better, reduce your costs as an
Yeah.
organization. And that can only be good for what you're trying to achieve, both through your bottom line,
Yeah.
but also ultimately to the premiums that you charge your customer, because your costs sit
Yeah.
alongside your claims
Come down.
to determine your profits and your losses at the end of the
Yeah.
year. So if you can start shaving even small amounts off your own costs in terms of your operational costs, but also your claims costs and how you can make things more efficient when you're paying out in a claims situation, you can charge less premium, which will potentially attract more customers, which can
Indeed.
only be good.
Yeah, indeed. But just a question on that, right? You mentioned that the new technologies have really made things more interesting, but have they also brought in more challenges? Um, could be number of challenges, right? In term, for example, nowadays we have cyber frauds happening, right? Data privacy could be another challenge, right? So, what are those challenges that you see these new technologies are bringing to the insurance business?
For me, it's the data. It's the data and the rules and the regulations that surround it, but also individuals' expectations about how their data is actually going to be used, and also about the understanding of what's going to happen to their data.
Right.
And I think that's the big thing. So you have the regulations. So you have the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, which is coming in the European Union,
Yeah.
still in the
Yes.
UK. And it's become that global benchmark as to what's expected. Okay, I'm not dealing with America here, with each individual state having its own approach to
Yeah. Yeah.
data privacy, but I'm talking about other areas. So to me, that is a very important thing. Yeah, what is it? It's the data is the new oil
New
and things
oil.
like that. I'm not going to start going on about that, but what it is it's particularly for insurance, it's the foundation for what you're wanting to try and achieve. So you need to be able to use the data to make what you do better in its most simple way possible. So you've got to have that data on board. And if you get it right, it's going to really help you. But it needs protection. You need to use it in a way that is appropriate. You need to make sure that people understand how you're going to use their data within your systems, within what you're doing, within your processes, so that they can be very clear as to what you will do, what you won't do, and to make sure their rights on it are protected. That's absolutely vital for this. So where do we go on this one here? So if you go back and look at the data, it's also how we use it going forwards. Now, the big one is how people's data gets used in your AI developments within the
Yeah.
organization. I think it was, what was it? It was Air Canada, wasn't it? They got into a lot of
Yeah.
trouble because of the way in which they'd used individuals' data as part of their AI training, and it had got embedded. So how do you deal with that situation?
Yeah.
It's
I
It
think
takes you,
this is
it
also,
takes you, sorry.
yeah, I think recently an Indian insurance firm, because of a cyber fraud, they lost the customer data, I think, for a couple of millions customers. So I see that as also as a challenge, right, for the risk managers, right? How do they protect the privacy of the customers, right?
Yeah, it's in its basic extent. First of all, how you collect the data.
Yeah,
Are you making sure everyone knows what you're doing with the data, with their
right.
data, once you've sucked it into your organization?
Yeah,
Once you've sucked it in, you do actually use it for the things you're saying and not for other things, just because you want to. You then have your layers of protection that sit alongside it, not only
yeah,
in terms of your external shell, so that you're protecting yourselves against hackers or cyber fraudsters,
yeah,
in terms of what's coming through, but also what goes on with that data once it's in the organization, that it is not being corrupted, that it's not being inappropriately accessed, and that you are making sure it is accurate. And then you're giving people that ensuring that people have their rights respected. They can be deleted, they can be got rid of as part of this, which is fine. We all want to do that at some point in our lives, and I think that's quite an important thing.
yeah.
So going on from there, where do you actually want to go with this? You start looking at something like synthetic data as part
Mm.
of this.
Complete new
Um,
data, right?
yeah, that's
I
it.
mean, even satellite data or even generating new data, right? Artificial data. Um,
Yeah,
and
which
do you
is
think
a
that
great.
is a possibility that we'll be able to assess risk in a better way if we make use of the alternate data sources and not just the traditional data sources?
I think you have to as part of this. If you look at any data, well, as it's you're looking at if you've got enough of a volume of data, you will get some fairly set patterns that sit within it to understand what is going on. So at that macro level, as you pull out from the data, you have consistent patterns in the way that things actually occur. And that's all well and good until you get to insurance, where weird stuff happens, where
Yeah,
you can get a hurricane that suddenly appears out of nowhere, an earthquake, you get a sudden pandemic that comes through and causes havoc in your data.
yeah,
Okay, how do you predict that when you're looking at artificial synthetic data? You can't, because you're dealing with a global approach to claiming patterns that is built on randomness.
yeah,
Now, I think it would need a bigger brain than me to be able to try and work out how you can factor that into your artificial data as
yeah,
part of it. So it takes you back to you need real data. You need data from customers, from real claims situations, because
yeah,
then you will start picking out those eccentricities. So my own personal view is the artificial data in insurance may be a bit of a red herring, a bit of a wrong way to go. I think you need to look at your data that you've got, but that means that the controls that you have and the risks that are generated from the use of that data, from your reputational risks to your regulatory risks, are
yeah.
all completely nailed down so that you can effectively use this and move forwards.
Yeah, your answer actually tells me that insurance business is not that boring actually, because you were talking about a number of things, all use of alternate data, synthetic data, the new kind of challenges that you're facing, but also a number of things. So I think for my audience also, the reason I ask this question is because I teach risk management to young people, and I ask them to explore career opportunities in the banking world, in the asset management world, in the insurance world. Not many are interested in insurance compared to banking.
Oh, they should be interested in insurance. One of my it was I had a great conversation with one of my old chairman of one of the boards that I was a member of.
Okay.
Excuse me. And I asked him this question:
Mhm.
what is it you like about insurance so much? Because he'd always been in insurance. He was very successful. And he said, I like the people. I like
Okay.
the fact that I can, because this was the London market where everyone is very
Yeah.
competitive to achieve.
Yeah.
And he said, I like the fact that I can spend my day battling with my competitors to get the business at the best price. And then afterwards, I can go for a drink with them we're good friends. And I think that is the
Yes.
most important thing. It's that human element that you get in insurance
Yeah.
that is what I find so compelling about the industry, that it is dealing with nice people. And that's what
Yeah.
I like
Yeah. In
about
it.
it.
But as a
Okay,
hiring
I
manager, but
yeah.
as a hiring manager, like what do you see in a candidate, right? For roles in risk management or risk modeling, compliance, in such roles, right? What do you see in candidates?
Curiosity. Curiosity to understand what is going on. Because if you are particularly in risk management within an insurance company, you are looking at such a wide spectrum of different things that you need to be able to understand, or at the very least engage with, from operational risk. So you're looking at the processes, the procedures,
Yeah.
the operations of the business, the systems. You're looking at liquidity risk. You're looking at investment risk. You're looking at insurance risk to understand the insurance processes that come from it,
Yeah.
making sure that everything is operating in the correct way. All of these things need to come together in somebody who is involved in risk management. Okay, you're going to have specialists that sit in there, but particularly as you move on into the senior roles within risk management, you need to be able to have that macro level overview of
Yeah.
what is going on within the company. And that
Okay.
takes a bit of time, but it's also the most fascinating part because you never know what you're going to deal with. You never know who you're going to have to talk to and deal with to find a solution to something. So to me, it is that curiosity of somebody who can look at this situation and say, I want to know, or I want to understand more. I want to find out what's going on. I want to find out how we can make this better, or at the very least, understand our risks and clearly accept them.
Okay. Nice. But how about the hard skills, right? Do you think data and analytical skills, you know, skills in tech and analytics, data science, will be of any use in such roles?
If I look far enough in advance, I would look and I would say AI will start taking over those roles within an organization. And I think
Okay.
that's one of the more bitter areas that we're going to have to face. If you're looking at the example, programmers who
Yeah.
are using AI
Yeah.
now to generate the code that is necessary,
Yes.
then that is quite an important thing to understand. So when you're particularly when you're interrogating data, and you're in a position to be able to use a clear ML approach to this, I think what it will do is actually democratize the data that's being used within an organization.
Yeah.
So it will not be, oh, I need to go and talk to the data scientists. You will
Yeah.
say, I want to know this, and you will have it at hand, and you will move forwards on that basis.
Yeah.
And that's what I see as part of it. And it's that immediate access, which I think will be very exciting.
Yeah. I think I totally agree with you actually, right? Technical skills can only take you so much. I think you really need to develop skills in understanding products, understanding customer needs, and so on and so forth, right?
Yeah, and
Um,
that's it. And that's it for an insurance company. Anything in insurance, it's understanding your products because ultimately you're trying to sell something to somebody who doesn't particularly want to buy it
yeah,
because they may have to buy it
yeah,
because it's a law or because they need it for they have an asset or something like that which they need to
yeah,
protect.
yeah,
So you're not really getting somebody buying something because it's the new exciting shiny thing because they want to show it off to everybody. It's car
exactly.
insurance
Yeah,
or it's medical insurance or something like that. So yes, it's still a product that needs to go out there. You still need
yeah,
to be able to have something that somebody wants to buy. But more importantly, it's the service that you give.
yeah,
Because if you look across insurance products, they are
yeah,
very similar. You see
yes,
some where you can put little tiny spins or tweaks on it, but ultimately it's something that will pay out if something happens. So
yeah,
people want the service. They want something that means that if they do have to claim, it will be really simple. They will get a good service. They will be looked after. It will be clear to them what they can and cannot claim for. That if they have an issue, they have a
yeah,
complaint, it will be dealt with quickly and appropriately and properly. that if they have a particular personal issue, that will be taken account of in terms of what they're doing.
Yeah.
And that's where it comes in. That is how you differentiate yourself as
Yeah.
an insurer, in my opinion. It's the
Okay.
service that you give rather
But
than the product. Product is still important, but
yeah, yeah, yeah. Indeed. Fully agree with you on that. As a CRO, right? So what's your role, right, within the organization, right? What do you do on a daily basis?
this is a great question because this is a question that my 16-year-old daughter asked me 2 weekends ago. So she does drama and she is doing a performance. Now, I don't know why, but at some point she has to be me. She has to play me in this performance.
Yeah.
And she asked me that question, what is it you do? And I panicked and I didn't really know what to say. But ultimately, what is it I'm here to do? I'm here to help guide the organization forward in the most appropriate way possible. I'm here to help them to identify the risks that they may face, to work with them, to understand the nature and extent of those risks, but also, very importantly, what do you want to do about those risks? Are there some mitigations that we can put in place to put something right, to stop it from happening, to reduce the impact if it occurs? Or are we there just saying, no, we'll accept this, and keeping that alive within the organization? So for me, it is working alongside the business in terms of their operations, in terms of their plans, their wants, their wishes, the things that they're trying to achieve, the things that they're doing, to
Yeah.
help them to identify it. It's not up to me to identify it.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know all of these sort of things. But what I
Yeah.
can do, I can talk them through the process and help them find this. And this is where, for me, risk managers need to be ultimate people.
So
You
risk
need to
management is important, right? That's
oh,
what you're trying to say.
it
So
is
just
absolutely
support
important.
function.
It's not just a support function. We are here to do things and to help them to do things that are absolutely necessary, because if they don't, they will find themselves in a very difficult position at some point. And that's what I love about it. But to do that, you must work with people. You must be a very good people person. You must be able
Yeah.
to talk to people, help them find their way through on things,
Yeah.
ask difficult questions, and really understand the business. And that is perhaps the most difficult point when you're looking at something like insurance, where it is across the whole area. You need to understand so many things. But that's what I love. That's what keeps me. That's what gets me out of bed in the morning.
Wow. Good. And you are a veteran, right? You have a decade of experience working in this field. So
Yeah, that's
still keeps you motivated to go on? And as in, what are you currently still learning, and what are you looking forward to in the next five,
so.
10 years?
So, apart from retirement, hopefully looming on the horizon at some point along the line there. But
Yeah.
for me, it is the change. I keep coming back to the change that
Okay.
is taking place within our industry, which is just accelerating so much. And what we will see as a result of that, what we will see coming through. And that's why I'm so fascinated by the AI. That's why I'm so interested in the governance side of it, to the extent that I've
Okay.
ended up talking at conferences about it, because how I
Okay.
see it should be working. It's so important. And that's what I'm so looking forward to, is that change that's coming through within our industry and being
Okay.
part of that change. And that's going to be great fun. So that's what really keeps me going. But ultimately, I like dealing with people. And always within my job, it is dealing with people. And that's what I do. So we get involved in policies, we get involved in certain documentation. But what I love to do is to sit down with people and talk about risk.
Okay.
What does it mean to you? What is impacting on you? And what do you want to do about it?
Okay. Nice. Nice. Good to know that even after working for 30 years, you still have that energy and curiosity, right?
Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. But that's what you need within what you do. And this is why I look and I sort of think, well, I started out studying law at university and I didn't become a lawyer. But
Yeah.
I'm quite happy I didn't become a lawyer, because probably that would not have suited me. What I like doing is going out and dealing with people and finding these solutions to things,
Yeah.
not getting caught up in the meaning of individual words. I want to
Right.
help them with their processes and what
Yeah.
they're actually doing to make things
Yeah.
better in the organization.
Yeah. Good. Good. That's good to know. So, what would you advise to the young folks who are interested in risk management career, but the ones actually who are looking to become a CRO like you in the future?
It's a very good question. What would I advise them? Be curious at all times in what you do, in terms of your organization, in terms of what is going on, not only in terms of risk management, but also how the organization is operating.
Okay.
Risk covers the whole organization, from your IT systems to your operational processes to your investments. You must bring that on board.
Yeah.
Find opportunities to study on a professional basis. I'm a member of the Chartered Insurance Institute, which
Yeah.
is more of a sort of a general thing, and that's an important part for me as well. So that
Okay.
gives you a badge, a stamp that says, you know what you're talking about. And that's
Yeah.
quite an important thing.
Does the actuarial certification helps?
The actuarial
Does it help?
certification, I think, is important, but it depends on the route that you're actually taking in insurance.
Okay.
Particularly if you're wanting to go down the modeling, the capital side
Yeah.
of risk management.
Yeah.
That's where, as far as I'm concerned, actuarial is probably essential. But if
Okay.
you're looking at the operational risk, my own view on this is you need somebody who understands the business,
Okay.
somebody who can go out there and understand the processes and talk it through.
Okay.
And that's what it comes down to. It's spending time to learn the business so
Okay.
that you can be in a position where you can stand or sit or be on a call with somebody at any point in the organization, at any
Yeah.
level, and they can say, oh, okay, that person knows what they're talking about. I respect them.
All right.
Because otherwise, you're just coming in as a second line of defense individual, coming in and saying, you can do this and you can't do that.
Yeah.
Be pragmatic, find solutions for people. You have a business that you're working with that wants to do so many different things, go off in so many different directions. You,
Okay.
as a risk manager, need to be able to support them in achieving that, walking hand in hand with them as they move forwards on their journey so that they are in a position to be able to get this right. And that's very important.
But the regulator expects the second line function to always challenge the business,
Yeah,
right? But at the same time, you also have to support them, right? So
you do.
you have to play the devil's advocate, but you also have to, sort of be party to them in times when they need you. So how do you strike a balance between that?
Um, with great difficulty, is what it comes down to, because you don't want to have to say no, but sometimes you do have to say no.
Yeah.
But the way to find that is to be in at the ground floor on all developments, so that you're involved in the discussion from the outset, so you can help shape the direction that the business is actually going in. So
Okay.
rather than coming in 3/4 of the way down and say, "What the hell have you done there? That's just madness. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Stop,
Yeah.
stop, stop." You're actually in a position to gently push. The way I describe this is if you are, it's a poor analogy, but you're trying to cross a river.
Yeah.
There are two ways you could cross a river. One is you've not got a boat, you've got to try and get across yourself. So you can be on the one side and you can see the other side and you can jump in and you can swim and thrash and find your way across eventually. Or you can think ahead, move further upstream, gently get in the water and gently push yourself over. You will find yourself exactly where you want to be, but with a lot
Yeah.
less effort and a lot less fuss. That's what
Yeah.
you need to be able to do. So by being at the ground floor on this, you can help shape and get things going in the right direction. So at the end of it, everybody is happy. You've got what you want, they've got what they want, and
Yeah.
it works. Nobody gets upset.
Wow. Recently, there was the news that Lloyd's Bank, I think the bank fired, I think, some 100 people or so in the risk department. And there was an internal memo, which was, by the way, private. It was confidential, but it was somehow leaked to the public. And it was mentioned in the memo that this risk management function is a bit of a hindrance to the growth of the bank. Do you also face such things?
I've never faced that myself, but I can see how people would perceive it in that way. And
Okay.
that's why it's so important that you have a balance of what's going on so that risk is being part of the discussion from the outset
Yeah.
rather than being brought in later.
Yeah.
And where issues occur, it's when risk comes in at a later stage, because in that situation, it's then very difficult. People have got ideas in their minds, they've got goals that they want to try and achieve, ways in which they're going to do it, and timescales and the things that need to be done.
Yeah.
Whereas, particularly if you're looking at risk on those changes from regulatory to operational risk, other things that come through, how are you going to achieve this? Well, be part of the discussion. And to me, I saw that as well. I was made me quite sad when I saw that, because to me, if you're using your risk management team effectively, it will give you a rocket booster to get things right.
Okay.
Because not only are you there to help and deal with issues that, well, may cause problems, but it's also using risk management to find those opportunities.
Okay.
And that's the one area where everyone forgets what may be a risk also is an opportunity for you as an
So risk is
organization.
opportunity, right? That should be the
Oh,
caption.
it is. It is. It absolutely is. So how are you going to achieve that?
Yeah.
How are you going to identify those opportunities if you don't have an effective risk management team?
Yeah. Indeed.
And that is the most important thing for me. And I think if you get your risk management team right, you will put a rocket booster under yourself and you will achieve amazing things.
Great. Great. All right. So I have asked most of the question I wanted to ask you. By the way, thanks for making time for it. And
Absolute pleasure.
I was,
Absolute pleasure.
yeah, I also worked in London in the past. I worked there for, yeah, about 2.5 years. I'm currently based out of Amsterdam in the
Yep.
Netherlands. And yeah, I've never worked in insurance, although I've received job offers from some of the insurance firms, US based, the AIG ones, and there was another one. But I've always worked in risk management in the banking side. And it was really a good experience for me to learn about the risk management in the insurance world. And I see that the challenges are more or less the same. And the advice that you have given me or to my audience is exactly what I received 10 years back from my manager, that you have to be curious all the time. You have to understand customers, you have to understand business. It's not
You
just
do.
about hard skills data and programming and so on. It's about understanding the challenges faced by the customers, and you really need to solve them, right?
You do.
Without that,
You
we'll
do.
never be able to make a good business. Yeah,
Yeah. Because ultimately, risk management at its best is not a theoretical exercise.
yeah,
It is something that is there, that is real to support the business and to
yeah,
make sure that somebody who has a bad situation in their life through illness or through um, the damage to something, their business, their own personal
yeah,
property, that they are put right. And we must never, ever lose sight of that fact. That's all we're here to do.
yeah.
It's not theoretical. And if we get it right, we're good. We're happy in terms of what we do. And this is why I love insurance. We're actually doing some good out there. And
Wow,
actually, we're doing good business. So that's me.
wonderful.